Hello everyone. As I stated earlier, I wanted to do a video concerning new information that I have gathered concerning, I've done a little bit of research into it, the Gabby Petito case, as well as the Robert Bob Lowery case, Crystal Turner and Kylen Schulte case, and of course, any new information that there may be out there on Brian Laundrie and his whereabouts and such. So try not to get in the wrong spot here. The first thing I want to discuss, of course, we all know that the medical examiner has now released Gabby's cause of death, not just her mode of death, which was homicide, but they released her cause of death to be strangulation, which is a terrible, awful way for anybody to die. And that really is like the only information that I really have concerning her herself, other than the fact that the FBI is still stating that they do not have Gabby's phone that she had with her on the trip. I don't know about her laptop because it said that she had a laptop and her phone with her, but they do not have her phone, and they don't have the phone that Brian had with him on the trip. Now, I'm pretty sure now they have his phone that he bought after he returned from the trip. I'm kind of thinking like he took that long walk and said that he had hiked along the Snake River for 3 days. So I'm thinking, well, their phones are probably somewhere in the Snake River. At one point in time, they probably had a signal there, but they probably don't now. But they might not have had a signal there then, and that might not even be where they are. Who knows? They may be on him, but he might have them turned off. But anyway, that's pretty much the only things that I have on her. And the next thing that I wanted to discuss was the Robert Bob Lowery case. And some of the things that I'm about to say might sound like, and I think I did speculate along this line at one point in time, did maybe he commit suicide because maybe he's the one that killed Gabby? But from what I saw, there's about 40 miles different distance between where his body was found down the side of a ravine and where her body was found. Now, initially when they found him, and then later said that his mode of death was suicide, and they said his cause of death was a gunshot to the head that was recently released. But initially they were saying that his mode of death was suicide. And I was like, if his body had been there for quite some time, because he went missing, I believe, August the 10th, and he was found on September 28th. So that's like 6 weeks. And I'm like, if his body was so decayed, how could they possibly know that he died from suicide rather than falling down the side of the hill and injuring himself? But apparently it was because he had been shot in the head. But I do have some questions concerning his case. So he was last seen on August the 20th in the area of Black Canyon Trail. And they said that his body was found very close to that trail. As I said, the story stated that it was 40 miles approximately from where Gabby's body was found. And he was found on the 28th. And said he was found at the base of Wyoming's Teton Pass in the Grand Teton Park. But like I was curious as to what, like, I don't believe that he's connected with Gabby's case. I feel like he was distraught. They said that he had quit his real estate job and wanted to go travel and visit national parks before starting a new job, which to me looks like he had things to look forward to. But it seems like perhaps he was going through a divorce or something, and possibly he was depressed. But I am curious as to what his date of death was and exactly how far away from Gabby's body he was found. Although, as I said, I don't think that he was really connected to her murder. I'm just curious, as to when they believe that he did die, because he was last seen on August 20th, which is pretty close. That's like a week before the last time that Gabby was seen. Though I don't know what provisions he had, or if he would have possibly, like, odds are, he was found very close to where he was last seen. I don't recall what time of day. I think it was evening around 6 p.m. that he was last seen. So odds are that he probably committed suicide pretty close to that time. But I think it would be interesting to know, exactly when he did. And so some of the other information, I know that everyone probably already knows this, but last Saturday, October the 9th, in North Carolina, along the Appalachian Trail, there was a man's body that was found below an overhang. And there was a lot of speculation that this man was probably Brian Laundrie, especially with the guy having thought that he encountered Brian Laundrie near the Tennessee, North Carolina state lines along the Appalachian Trail, and him seeming so out of it, or the person that he encountered seeming so out of it. And I think I might have mentioned before that my opinion is that this man whose body was found there, probably is that guy that he encountered in the light colored or white Ford F-150 pickup, but I don't feel that that person is Brian Laundrie, and I will tell you more on that in a bit. I mean, the FBI has said that it's not him, and I'm sure you all know that. So, so when I was planning to make my Mystery Mondays video this past week, and I made the decision to wait until Tuesday to make it, there were several stories about this body that was found near this overhang that said that the identity, the coroner or medical examiner's office intended to release the identity of the man's body that was found in that area on Tuesday. So I was like, well, I'll wait until Tuesday to do my thing then, because then we'll know for a certainty, the FBI does have Brian Laundrie's DNA. If this person is him, we will definitely know for sure whether it's him or not. Well, so what I discovered what I discovered Tuesday and into Wednesday, and even Thursday for that matter, and still today, is that the body that was to be identified by the medical examiner's office on Tuesday, October 12th, was not the one that was found in North Carolina. Now, it was found, as I said, below an overhang, and the body was found. It was found along the Blue Ridge Mountain area, Blue Ridge Mountain Trail, an area called Black Rock, I believe it's called. But the body, Black Mountain is what that area is called. But the body that was actually going to be identified by the coroner's office on Tuesday was a man's body that was found near the trail at Black Rock in South Mountain State Park, which is also along the Appalachian Trail. But this was in or near Boonesboro, Maryland. This was not the body that was found in North Carolina. And this man's body was found on July 10th, 2021. So this was before even the Brian Laundrie and Gabby Petito thing had occurred. And the coroner's office did identify that man, and his name was Michael Joseph Mack. He was 58 years old. He was 58 years old, Michael Joseph Mack, from Hanover, Maryland. And I believe that his story kind of, from what I recall, bordered along the lines of Robert Bob Lowery's, in that he had recently quit a job and, in his specific case, wanted to hike the Appalachian Trail, which turns out to be the story of a lot of people that end up going missing and sadly being found dead in our national parks. They quit their job, they want to go out and be one with nature, and then either something happens, an accident befalls them, or they end up committing suicide because of, who knows why, but because of depression. And they maybe get out there and realize, I'm out here alone and things aren't getting any better. And I mean, it's sad, and there's no telling why they do those things. So that was what was going on with the autopsy report that I thought was supposed to come out Tuesday, which is part of why didn't make my Mystery Mondays video and did not make it until today, because I believed that that information was concerning the body in North Carolina, which it was not. It was concerning a body in Maryland. I'm going to try not to make this video too long, and I know it's probably going to be because I wrote down my information and I've got about three pages of information here. But so what I gathered today is they're concerning the body that was found along the Appalachian Trail in North Carolina as of right now, which is a week after the body was found. Authorities went to the area to look for the body around 1 p.m. last Saturday, and no new information concerning that man's body has been released. They have not released that person's identity, but the person is clearly not Brian Laundrie because, as I stated a while ago, the FBI does have his DNA. They collected stuff from his parents' home to get his DNA to use for comparison purposes if they thought that they might have found something that belonged to him even. And I have watched some of the videos that him and Gabby posted, and like, he is not a litterer. He likes to eat melons because they help to provide water and they decay. He does not like to carry stuff like beef jerky and chips and granola bars and stuff like that because it leads to people possibly littering. And that's something that he does not believe in doing. So I don't know that he would drink a Monster energy drink, let alone leaving the can out in the woods, because he doesn't want to leave a carbon footprint, you know. But anyway, I made a note that the body, the more precise area other than just an overhang where the man's body was found last Saturday was along the Blue Ridge Parkway, which the one that was found on July 10th was also found along the Blue Ridge Parkway. It's apparently a rather large area, and so it goes all the way from North Carolina, at least I would say the Blue Ridge Mountains in Tennessee, up into Maryland. And so it was found along the Blue Ridge Parkway below the Yadkin Valley overlook. And that was last Saturday around 1 p.m. Now, at that time, or shortly after that time, it was probably, I think, around 8 p.m. that night, the National Park Service issued a statement saying that they do not believe that that body is related to any ongoing investigations within the national parks, given the preliminary information that was gathered by authorities. So, you know, they, I don't know, possibly the person had a wallet on them, had a backpack that had some form of ID, or like they find the person and he's got red hair and they're not looking for anyone that's got red hair or something, you know. So, oh yes, this is just a thought that I had because I was reading, I read several different articles doing research about this today. And one of the things that caught me, you know, was like they kept talking about, of course, we all talk about the Moab, Utah police thing that happened on August 12th. And had they arrested either Brian or Gabby and held them and possibly charged them with domestic abuse or domestic assault, she might still be alive today, because that may have been her wake-up call to get, and her opportunity to get away from him. Or it might have just been like a, you know, enough time for them to cool down. And I mean, don't get me wrong, a domestic abuser is a domestic abuser. I used to be married to one, so I know. They typically do not change at all, but I'm saying it would have gave them at least some space. And also, if, like I was reading about the restaurant that they were at, and there have been a couple of other places now that people have reported seeing them, and it was like they seemed like they were snippety at each other. He was really wanting her to tell people that they were engaged, like he was forcing her to make sure to tell people that they were engaged so people knew that she was taken and she was his, and he was all possessive of her and stuff. And I'm like, I mean, you know, when this altercation happened with the waitstaff at the restaurant in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, I don't know exactly what all happened, but he was obviously acting aggressively. They could have called the police on him. Odds are the police would not have arrested him unless he was absolutely refusing to pay the bill. Now, they said that he was haggling about the bill. I don't know that he was refusing to pay it. If he was refusing to pay the bill, they could have charged him with something, but odds are the police would have showed up and he would have been like, well, I'll go ahead and pay it, you know. And so, yeah, I was like, you know, if they had called them and they had arrested him for whatever reason, then she might still be alive, you know. And I was reading, one of the things that I read around this time was a article concerning a forensic behaviorist who said that she believes that Gabby apologizing for his actions could possibly be why she is dead, because he so there was another thought that I swore I wrote down there, but anyway, her apologizing for his actions because he wanted to own his actions. They were his. He felt she had no right to be apologizing for what he was doing. You know what I'm saying? And so she also stated that, or the article about it, as we all know, and I mean, my logic told me that she was last seen at this restaurant on or around August the 27th, and he returned to Florida on September 1st. I believe the people that picked him up and gave him rides picked him up on September 30th. So clearly she died sometime between August 27th and August 30th. Those are the only times that she could have possibly died, and was sometime within that time. And I'm sorry, I had to include this in my recording because it cracked me up when I saw it, y'all, okay? As we know, Dog the Bounty Hunter has been trying to help find Brian Laundrie, or has he? I don't know. Apparently, one of the things that Dog the Bounty Hunter does when he is trying to find people that he has a bounty on, or is just, you know, trying to help find a missing person or whatever, is goes to their social media and looks over stuff. And I'm like, okay, well, yeah, you can see the pictures. Like I saw the picture of him on the Appalachian Trail where there's like all sorts of rocks and stuff. He's like way back in a little crevice. And I'm like, dude, he could literally be hiding anywhere, right? This guy's flexible and he can get in places where other people might not be able to go. But it cracked me up because Dog the Bounty Hunter, first of all, he said that these pictures were on Brian Laundrie's Facebook page. I don't know about that. I started following him on Instagram just in case something new did come up on his actual real Instagram, as well as on Pinterest. And the pictures that Dog the Bounty Hunter talks about were on his Instagram account. So I don't know that they were also on his Facebook account, or that Dog was just like, oh, this was on his Facebook account because he don't know about Instagram. Maybe, I don't know. Surely he does. But I thought it was freaking hilarious, y'all, because he says that Brian could be a serial killer based on these graphic, bloody, sadistic, satanic, he calls them, drawings and paintings and such, pictures and stuff that are on his social media. Now, I'm not saying that that's not true. I'm not saying that he may not be or may not become one. What I am saying, and what I am finding hilariously funny about Dog the Bounty Hunter here, is that, you know, like one of the pictures that he pointed out in the first story that I saw about him saying this, which was around the time that he sprained his ankle and apparently had nothing better to do than look at Brian's social media, was a drawing that Brian did of what Dog called the devil eating pancakes. As I said, I have seen this picture, and it's not the devil eating pancakes. It is a drawing that Brian Laundrie did of Hellboy. That's right, Hellboy, from Dark Force Comics, who he is a fan of. He has done several drawings of Hellboy, along with some other villains and superheroes on his social media accounts. And yeah, the picture of the devil eating pancakes is actually a picture of Hellboy that he drew as the caption to the picture that he made tells. It's like, I think it says something along the lines of, haha, here's a Hellboy for y'all eating pancakes, you know. But he was kind of he wasn't much of a social media person. Gabby drew him into doing social media until they started dating. From what his friends said, he had never posted anything on social media because he didn't care about putting that out there. Now, a lot of people would think that's odd, but I mean, I did not have a Facebook page for a long, long time. I had a MySpace page, and when I first got it, I went on there like every day, 3 or 4 times a day, and then I like pretty much didn't use it. And I'm the same way with my Facebook page now. I post stuff on there from time to time, but not real often. But so the next thing that I noted is, as I stated earlier in my video, the FBI has stated that they do not have either Gabby or Brian's cell phones that they had with them on their trip traveling across the country to national parks. So, it'd be interesting to know if like maybe she used her phone to record what was happening, her and him arguing, the person that killed her killing her, possibly he used his phone to record something, who knows? Um, I mean, really, if a phone has no signal, they're very hard to find. They surely could find the last spot that they were seen at, last spot that they had a signal at. But in a national park, I don't know that you're going to have much of a signal at all. You know what I'm saying? Because it's a pretty remote area, and I know there would be a couple of cell towers in the area, but trees and stuff block that. But anyway, so also, as it has been said, Brian left his parents' home, which we now know was on the 13th, not the 14th, without his wallet or his new cell phone that he had bought. And I made note that the FBI said that the search for Laundrie may be reduced in size, manpower, and number of locations within the next couple of weeks or so, but it will continue potentially for weeks, months, or even years. And now I was reading a thing about cold cases, and it was saying that generally a case does not go cold unless they get no clues that they find to be at least somewhat I want to say legible, legitimate for at least 3 to 5 years. And then they would be like, oh, okay, well, we're not going to solve this anytime soon. So the case would go cold. That's not going to happen for at least 3 to 5 years from what they said. So they will keep looking for him. And, oh, yes, this is where I have my comments about. Okay. So one of Brian's close friends has come forward and told some information about where he thinks that Brian might be. And I apologize if anyone's tuning in specifically for the Turner and Schulte cases, because I was planning to talk about them before this one, actually. But this one has so much information, so much more information, because it's been so publicized. I'm going to go ahead and talk about this one first, and then I'm going to do that one at the end. But yeah, so one of Brown's close friends that he befriended in high school came forward and has said some stuff about him, about like the type of person that he was whenever they were in school. Apparently, this person went to school with him at least from middle school all the way through high school. And he said that Brian was a bit of a loner in high school. No shame in that. I went to school with people that were loners, and I was a bit of a loner. Actually, I would have liked to have been, but I actually had quite a few friends. But anyway, and as I said a while ago, the friend stated that Brian had no interest in broadcasting his life on social media until he started dating Gabby. And then, it was like they were traveling and posting pictures of their lives and stuff. So he did that. I would be interested to know what type of work he did before, or like if he did work before they started the van life stuff. I had read something about her quitting her job, which I can't remember what was, but it was at a corporate office, I think, or something, some type of office job, I believe, if I recall correctly. But this friend of his said that he's he's an off the grid type of guy, meaning that he could very easily live without his cell phone, without the internet, without cable TV, that sort of stuff. He's an outdoorsy person that's into nature, so he doesn't need the stuff that the rest of us would have that we use regularly that would make it real easy to find someone. And he also stated that he's not the selfie type. And I was like, yeah, there were a lot of people on social media that were talking about, why did he not start posting pictures until so much later than she did? And why is he not in the pictures? Why is she the only one that's in all these pictures? And I was like, duh, like someone had to take the pictures. And obviously she was not taking those pictures of herself unless she had a tripod, which very possibly she did. But most of them, I feel like he took the pictures, you know. Um, but anyway, this friend of his said that when he was in middle school, Brian Laundrie, that is, he had zero friends, no friends whatsoever. He ate lunch at a table with two other people, which made me think of these guys that I went to school with who were really nice guys. That there were three of them. They generally sat at the same table together. But I'm thinking the Brian Laundrie case, like Brian's over here and these other two people are over here, and he just needed a place to sit, and there were no empty tables, so he sat at the same table where these two people sat normally. Um, but this guy said that he did that until he found a small group of friends in high school that he started hanging out with. Said before high school he was heavier set and he had longer hair. When he got into high school, he lost weight and cut his hair. Could be possibly maybe he got into drugs and lost weight, but from what I had read, him and Gabby both did track and field type stuff. I believe that he did a little bit of college where he did like the shock pet thingy or whatever it's called. So he was in track and field. So, you know, that will help you lose weight. And he became like this nature buff. So that, like going on hikes and stuff, will help you to lose weight, of course. And this guy said that he was quiet and a bit of an outcast. He kept to himself. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. A lot of people who do become killers are that type of person, but just because they're that type of person does not mean that they're, I can't think of the word I'm looking for, but anyway, that doesn't mean that they're necessarily going to turn out to be a killer. I mean, I know several people who are that way. Like I said, when I was in high school, there were three guys that sat at a table together all the time. Sometimes two of them sat at one end and the other one sat further down. And there were a couple of times that I would go to get my lunch and I'm like, why do they always like just these guys sit here by themselves and like everyone else is in large groups of people, you know? And a couple of times I went over and I would sit next to them. And one of them a couple of times was like, why are you sitting over here? And I'd be like, I mean, I have the right to sit where I want to, right? It's okay. Y'all don't mind me sitting here, do you? And they would be like, no, it's okay. And then like some of my friends or acquaintances would come over and sit over there and be like, why are you sitting over here? And I'd be like, I just wanted to change the scenery, or I was going to talk to Charles for a minute, or, you know, Freddie wanted to ask me a question or something, you know, so encourage other people to sit with them and find out what sort of people they actually are. And one of those people in my school, our junior year of high school, I believe it was, actually ended up committing suicide. So had more people took the steps that I took and tried to befriend them, or at least show them that they knew they existed and be friendly toward them, that may not have happened. But I'm getting off the topic now, aren't I? So this guy said, um, I forgot where I was at. He said he was quiet. He was quiet and a bit of an outcast. He kept to himself. I think I already said that. And the guy said that he believes that Brian would do whatever it takes to avoid an arrest. He could easily drop everything to avoid capture. As I said, he's not himself the social media type of person. He's not the kind, he may not have even carried a cell phone on him all the time until him and Gabby started dating. He might have not even owned one until they started dating, you know. So he's, as the guy said, an off the grid type of person. So it'd be easy for him to drop everything to avoid capture. And his friend said that he's afraid that Laundrie may reach out to him very soon because he might be running low on resources and might feel that he can trust this guy more than his other friends. He said that unlike their other friends, this particular friend of his was close to Brian, but was not close to Gabby. Could just be the case, you know, that these other friends, a lot of them were people that were her friends that then befriended him, whereas this person was someone that went to high school with him, which from what I understand, him and Gabby went to high school together, or at least for a while. And Oh, yes. So this friend of Brian's also claims that Brian has the resources to get out of the U.S. I know some of you might have read this story already. Said he has the resources to get out of the United States illegally, and this guy revealed some of the places where he thinks that Brian Laundrie might possibly be hiding. And when I found out what the places were, I was like, nah, no way he could afford that. And then I looked into it some. I'll talk about that here in a minute. Um, so it says that he had plans of living outside the United States when he was in high school and revealed countries he may escape to. Now, I don't know necessarily that he was revealing countries that he might escape to. Like, I used to talk when I was in high school about how I'd love to live in Australia all the time. Doesn't mean that if I got in trouble with the law, I'd run off to Australia because I could never afford it, for one thing. And as I got older, like when I was in college, I talked about how I would love to go to Germany, Ireland, Nova Scotia. Doesn't necessarily mean I would go there if I got in trouble with the law, which hopefully I never get in trouble with the law to that extent, especially. But this friend also said that Brian is a good planner and can execute his plans in the way that he wants to. Like he has the ability, the money to be able to, when he plans something, do it in the precise manner that he planned to do it in. Hey, Izzy. Oh, yes. He said that Brian may have used a fake identity to leave the United States because he apparently has the ability to do that. Maybe he knows somebody that sells fake IDs. I used to know somebody that did that. And I'm not talking like your fake ID. Hey, let's get into the club fake ID. I'm talking about passports and green cards and all that sort of shebang. Anyway, and he said that Brian was always always had a fascination with art, especially drawing, and he liked sci-fi movies. I said Brian is intelligent and independent. They conversed about countries they'd like to see and live in. Now, the only country that this guy could think of whenever he was initially doing this interview, I believe it was with The Sun, the only country he could think of that Brian had said he would want to go to was South Africa. And I'm like, I mean, there's a lot of unrest in South Africa. The last that I knew, so that might be a good place for him to be. But anyway, he might accidentally end up getting killed without meaning to. But anyway, I know he could still be innocent. Don't get me wrong. Slight possibility of that. But yeah, one of the places that he named was South Africa, and I was like, I didn't really think like that he would be going there. And then I found it interesting that he said that he was. That was because of sci-fi movies. There were two of the movies that he really likes, Elysium, and one of the other ones that were filmed in South Africa. And the other place that he named that he would possibly have loved to have gone is New Zealand. And I was like, oh, he's a Lord of the Rings buff like me. And then the guy said that one of the other friends mentioned New Zealand, and he was like, "Oh, I forgot about New Zealand." And I was like, "How can you forget about New Zealand? Who doesn't want to go to New Zealand now that Lord of the Rings was filmed there? We all know more about it." But anyway, and I made a note, as I said a while ago, that either of these countries would take time and a lot of money to get to, and that was my personal opinion concerning that. And then I looked into it and I discovered that if I wanted to fly to South Africa today from Oklahoma City, which is the general area that I live in, I could fly to Johannesburg, South Africa, and it would cost me, the low ball range would be for economy class about $905, more expensive being $1,018. Now we know that he had probably at least $1,000, though they said part of that stuff, like I'm sure he got gas using her credit card or debit card and stuff, in addition to getting cash. So he may not quite have that much money. And apparently, if I wanted to fly from Oklahoma City to Auckland, I believe is how you pronounce it, New Zealand today, it would cost me $1,273 with 2 stops. All of these are with 2 stops. And I think he would want to avoid those 2 stops, so that would probably cost a little bit more. And thought I made a note of the higher one there. I think the higher one there was like $1,400 and some odd dollars. But I'm looking at from Oklahoma City, and if he flew from Florida, it would have been at least probably couple $100 less, right? Um, and I also made a note that the the Mustang that he generally drove was found in, and I apologize if I cut this all up, but the Mustang that he drove was found in my, uh, Myakkahatchee National Park in Florida, which is 16 miles from the Carlton Reserve, where his parents said that he had told them that he was going. And I also made a note up here. I know that it probably wasn't, but the town I live in has an event. I believe it's once a month, like the third Saturday each month, I believe it is. It's called Herd on Herd. It's a music event with food trucks and other carts and stuff like that. And I went there with actually, I met my daughter and son in law there on September 18th as part of my son in law's birthday thing. And then one of his friends came, and I was walking down the middle of the road, like the roads are blocked off. So you walk down the roads and there's food trucks and all that, like tents and that sort of stuff. Large police presence, mind you. And I was walking down the road with my daughter. I think we were looking for my son in law and his friend at the time. And I turned and looked over my shoulder, and right behind me was this guy that was carrying a backpack who I was like, "You look really, really, really familiar. Do I know you from somewhere?" I didn't say that. I thought about asking him if I knew him from somewhere. And like, as I was walking to my car to go home by myself, still large police presence. There were two police down the road that I walked down to get to my car. But like, I was like, wait, that guy really resembled Brian Laundrie, and he was carrying a backpack, and he looked like he was confused about what was going on and possibly a little lost. And now, if I was not from this town and I popped into town and was, say, just going to see if I could find something to eat or maybe a place to sleep, hide behind a building and sleep or something, and I noticed this going on, I would have been totally confused myself. But as I said, large police presence, so I know that it probably was not him. And now, not hardly anyone's watching, so I should maybe do a different video on the Crystal Turner and Kylen Schulte case, but I did not find, there's not a whole lot of information on this case out there. Kylen Schulte's father has been trying to, like, he's been working the case just as much as police have, if not more. And he has asked the public to bring pictures, any information they may have concerning the area where her and Crystal Turner were camping at. Pictures that they have taken, videos that they have taken, stuff that might help them to be able to find out what happened to his daughter and her wife. And they've got a whole lot of tips, but they haven't found anything that really is even coming close to helping solve this case. And this case is just as important as Gabby's case, happened, as I'm sure everyone knows, in the Moab, Utah area, which was where Gabby and Brian were whenever they had their domestic altercation, which happened, the actual argument and physical altercation happened outside of the Moonflower Shop, I believe it's called. I forgot, I should have written it down. I've got it written down in my notes somewhere. But anyway, it happened outside the shop where Kylen Schulte worked. Now, Kylen and Crystal were both scheduled to work early on August 14th. They were last seen at a bar on August 13th. I believe they left there around 12 p.m., 12 midnight, and then went to a friend's house where they, hung out for a while, and then they returned to their campsite, it is believed, around 1 a.m. I'm sure police have already talked to this friend and got all the information that they need to get from the friend concerning what happened and where they said they were going and if they had any other stops planned and stuff like that. So the new stuff that I have found on this, is anyone interested in this case may already know, is that Kylen Schulte's father hired a PI, private investigator, to help with finding information on the case and see if they can figure out what exactly happened to Crystal Turner and Kylen Schulte. Sorry, I'm messing up her name here. And this private investigator is hoping that he will be able to get satellite imagery that was captured in Moab, Utah, around the time that the couple was camping near the LaSalle Loop Road in the South Mesa area, um, near Moab, Utah, in Grand County, Utah. And he says that maybe this satellite imagery will show a car in the area they camped, while they were telling friends a creepy guy was staying at a nearby campsite. And he says, like, if they can't get a good enough picture of it to be able to tell the make and model of the car, at least they can tell the color. And they might be able to tell the type of vehicle. Is it a van? Is it a pickup? Is it a car? Is it an SUV? They might be able to tell that as well as the color, even if they can't tell the exact make and model of the vehicle. So, and I was like, well, that's interesting. Like, they apparently used this technology to discover where this woman's children were buried on a man's property that police discovered had killed her kids. And I'm like, well, why don't they use this in everything then? I mean, I know it's got to cost quite a bit, but I mean, the satellite pictures are already taken. So why not just go ahead and use them, get permission to use those. But so he also said that if they could get if they not only see the vehicle, but see the man at the campsite that's nearby where they were staying, which, mind you, they moved campsites, it is believed, between the time of reporting the creepy guy staying at a nearby campground and the time that they were actually murdered. But anyway, I was looking at my comments here. I didn't even realize I need a bigger screen so I can see when people comment. Thank you guys. But yeah, so he said that if they could get a picture, if they could actually see the guy, then they can possibly use facial recognition technology as well to find out who the person was, the creepy guy that was staying at the campsite nearby. Like, especially if it does turn out to be Brian Laundrie, it's like, hey, yeah, we have his face everywhere. This is his face, right? And also, which, I mean, the police, mind you, do not believe that these cases are connected, but they were in the Moab, Utah area at the same time, and they were all camping, and it's believed that this man camped in the area where Schulte and Turner were camping from at least August 11th, which was one of the things that I found to be most interesting, because from what I have found, like, as I said, I followed Brian Laundrie on Instagram and Pinterest. I was not able to find his account on Facebook, as Dog says he has. And I also followed Gabby's accounts on both. And I was looking through their pictures and watching their videos and stuff. And it appears to me, I believe that they both posted stuff stating that they were leaving Colorado, I think it was, and heading to Utah on August 10th, and then they took a picture of themselves with the Utah sign, I'm pretty sure, on August 11th. So that is literally the time that they seem to have arrived in Utah, is the day that this creepy guy started camping at the campsite near Crystal Turner and Kylen Schulte. So it is possible that he was involved, although it kind of seems now that, like, perhaps after this altercation happened between Gabby and Brian, and the police put Brian up in a hotel, and some things have said that he said that they couldn't afford, or that he could not afford a hotel room, which I think if he did say that, it was like, hey, I'm trying to stay with her because I don't want to be separated from her for the night, more, that sort of thing, more of a controlling and possessive thing than I actually really can't afford it, because it's now been discovered that when he flew back home on on August 17th, and was gone, like returned on August 24th, that she stayed in a hotel by herself rather than living in their van. And I'm like, so I wonder if from perhaps August 12th or like the morning of the 13th when she went to pick him up and he was to check out of the hotel. I wonder if they decided to actually stay at the hotel so that she could have the Wi-Fi to work on the blog, and so they could be cooler and get out of the heat for a while, take kind of a break to get away from stuff. And maybe they weren't out there camping from the 13th to the 14th, but they are nature people. They're hikers. That's what they do. So I feel like they actually probably were still out there camping, but I don't know for sure. That's one of the things that to me would be interesting to find out. But so back to the Schulte and Turner case, the public investigator, as the police have done in the past, and as Kylen Schulte's father has done, is calling on people who were in the area from August the 11th through August 15th to share pictures and videos they may have taken. Now, they were last seen on the 13th. Something that I saw said the 14th, but that's not right. They were last seen on August 13th. So I'm not 100% sure why they want to see stuff up through the 15th. I know their bodies were found on the 18th of August. If they both failed to show up for work on the morning of August 14th, and they were both scheduled to work early in the morning that day, I feel like somebody possibly was at their campsite whenever they got back, or someone came across where they chose to camp, and that was when they happened to get killed. Like, I don't feel like they were alive after the early morning hours of the 14th. And that's pretty much all that I have. I was hoping that I could find more information on their case, but I just couldn't. But I will continue. I do, as those of you who are subscribed or who regularly watch my videos know, and I always tell y'all to subscribe, but please do subscribe. And someone said, give her some likes so more people can listen. And someone else said, Marie Park said, interesting information. This one is pronounced finance. Feline. Oh. But anyway, I'm not exactly sure how long ago this happened because for some reason my thing doesn't show me the time. Anyway, but I will continue to, I want to try and find out if anyone knows what the date of death for Robert Bob Lowery was. I would be interested to know that. I mean, I know they can't do it precisely like Gabby's, they said 3 or 4 weeks ago, but we know it had to be within that 27th to 30th window because of she was last seen on the 27th, and Brian was picked up hitchhiking on the 30th and returned to Florida without her on the 1st. So odds are she wasn't out in the wilderness by herself after he left, But I plan to continue looking into, of course, the Gabby Petito case and what's going on with where Brian Laundrie might be and if the police have found him or not. Now, I believe this time of the month, I think, is about the time that early on into him becoming a missing person, I said that I felt that he would probably be located if he was going to be located anytime soon. I think I said probably by the middle of this month. Sometime between the middle of this month and around the 20th or so, I think is what I had said at one point in time. So I also plan to continue looking into the Schulte and Turner case, trying to keep updates on it and find out, hopefully they are able to find out who it was who killed them. And everyone has talked about how Gabby's case has white girl syndrome. It got so much publicity and it brought new light to other people who are missing. Apparently there's no white man syndrome because I'm pretty sure that Robert Bob Lowery was a white man. But anyway, just saying. But there are a whole lot of people who are missing in this country. A lot of them presumed to be dead, and nobody knows where they are or what has happened to them. And so what I had originally when I did the Mystery Mondays thing, I was interested in kind of maybe doing something along this line, but I was more like, it's just going to be a who knows what you're going to get, like a mosh posh video type thing. Something's going to come up. But what I've decided I want to do with my Mystery Mondays videos, and I know this is running long, I apologize again, but what I want to do with it, I decided, is that I am going to look into some of these missing persons cases. And the first one that I would like to look into, which I think I might have already stated, concerns a young woman who went missing from Grove, Oklahoma, near Grand Lake in Oklahoma. I've been following her Facebook page for quite some time, and I want to say that she went missing between Thanksgiving and Christmas in 2019, and no one still has any information as to what may have happened to her. And her name is Aubrey Dameron. And I was thinking about putting my TV, like repositioning my stuff, putting my TV behind me so I could use pictures, use it to show pictures and stuff when I do these, but I don't want to get in trouble for any copyright infringement type stuff. And so I don't think I will be doing that, but I wish that I had a way that I could show you all these people's pictures, but you can always look them up, and I will, of course, spell their names out on my titles of my videos and descriptions of my videos and stuff. But that's what I decided I want to do with my Mystery Mondays videos, is to see possibly if I can help to find some of these people who have been missing in this country for so long. And not only in this country, like, other countries as far as that goes as well, but there are a whole lot of people missing in this country. Don't want to step on the toes of the human traffickers, because you might get yourself in big, deep, hot water there. But I would like to at least be able to help some of the missing people be able to get found, and their families be able to find out where their missing loved ones are and possibly what happened to them. So I am planning to do that. And I still, when The Masked Singer is over, I am not sure what I'm going to do with that. But I hope that everyone enjoyed this video. Please subscribe. I will continue doing this at least once a week. That gives me time to research the information and try to find out what is legitimate and what's not. Like I said, my Mystery Monday video, I did not even do this past week because I wanted to do it on Tuesday, because there was that information connected to the body found along the Appalachian Trail in North Carolina that 9 out of 10 stories that I saw said was going to be identified on Tuesday, and that was not the body that was found October 9th that was going to be identified. That was one that was found on July 10th that they identified on Tuesday. So, I need time to be able to look into stuff and find out what's really going on, because I don't want to give people misinformation, though from time to time I will give you my opinions on stuff, which I am entitled to do. I hope everyone has enjoyed this. Please like the video if you want. Feel free to comment. And please subscribe, share on your social media, and I am going to go ahead and stop. I thought there was something else I was going to say, but I can't think of what it was. Everyone have a good whatever time of night or day it is in your part of the world. Stay safe and stay positive. I have dogs to walk.